We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, the podcast that explores the art and craft of songwriting, the creative processes behind it, and celebrates the artists making the music that we love. I'm your host, Simon Fink, and thank you for joining us. Our guest on the podcast today is the incredible Aussie rock band, King Stingray. Hailing from Arnhem Land, King Stingray have quickly made a name for themselves with their unique blend of rock and Yolŋu cultural influences. After the success of their ARIA and AIR award-winning self-titled debut, they are back with a brand new studio record titled For the Dreams, and it is an absolute stunner. This album delves into the themes of nostalgia, the beauty of simple living, and the deep connection to their homeland. It's a record that sees King Sting at both their lyrical and sonic best. Now, in today's episode, we're chatting with guitarist and producer Roy Kellaway about For the Dreams and how the album came together across studios all over Australia. We discuss the band's collaborative songwriting process and the importance of incorporating both First Nations and English languages in their music, a responsibility that they do take to heart. We also talk about their upcoming tour with King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard in the US and what fans can expect from their Australian tour dates in March of next year. Now, we want to say a huge thank you to Nick for his help with today's episode and remind everyone that For the Dreams is out right now. You can find links in the show notes on where to purchase the vinyl and check out tour dates to catch King Stingray live. While you're there, don't forget to follow us on our socials to stay up to date with all of our latest guests and episodes. And with that, let's get into it. Here is our conversation with Roy Kellaway from King Stingray.
With a couple of big ideas. I don't wanna be anywhere else right now.
Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Roy Kellaway from King Stingray. Hello, sir. How are we?
Very good, man. Good. Thanks for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for jumping on and having a chat with us. I know you're very busy at the moment. There's plenty going on in the world of King Sting right now with a brand new record that is out as we speak, For the Dreams. Firstly, congratulations on this record. How are you feeling now with these songs out in the world?
It feels so good, you know. When you're an artist and a muso, you just want to get your music out there, especially when you get that real stoke feeling when you're working on a song and you get all excited in the studio, and then you get a bit more excited when you get a mix back, and then you get a bit more excited when you get the master back, and then you get all these little doses of excitement. You get your physical in your hand, and then you just want it out. So we're feeling so stoked to have it out and excited. Yeah.
I can only imagine, obviously, as you said, like little bits by bits they come back in. I imagine holding the record in hand is one of those big ones that you can kind of go, pardon my language, holy shit, this is real.
Yeah, you know, because you get the tunnel vision on a bit when you're in the studio and you're tweaking a particular sound. I know it's fun to nerd out a bit. Like we have a lot of fun in the studio, and this record we did allow for a lot of opportunity to play in the studio. So we booked more studio days than we probably needed, but that's because we just had a lot of fun tweaking sounds and just playing around, you know. Sometimes we weren't really productive and we chose to just eat good food and hang out and have a bit of a strum of a guitar or whatever. But when we're not doing that, we were dialing in sounds, and you kind of get in this sort of zone. But then you come out the other end and you see the album and you're like, far out, that's right, we did this whole thing, you know, because you get in your own little world a bit. And people who are you know, have experience, have recorded before, probably know that feeling very, very well. When you're just kind of in the zone and you get out of that world and you're like, crikey, we've made this record, here it is. And that's what we've been doing. So it's good. Yeah.
It is very exciting. I can also imagine from the perspective of yourselves with this record, from my understanding, it was kind of recorded while you guys are on tour, like here and there in different studios around the country. So it's not like one cohesive big session where you know that there's an album coming. I imagine it was kind of, you know, bit by bit that then you've gone, that's right, there is a giant record at the end of this.
Yeah, fully. we made this record in the busiest times of our lives I think we've had, so traveling around the country and overseas and just seizing the moment, making the best of the time we have together and just cracking on. And my old man's got a song called Get Shit Done, and it's kind of like it's kind of been the unofficial sort of motto in my mind anyways. One of the lines is get shit done on the run while having fun. And that's kind of, I guess, what we were doing. So recording in hotel rooms and, Airbnbs, and it's a pretty disjointed sort of recording process, but we're just capturing the vibes that was how we did it. But it was a very fun process. So, yeah, stoked to have it out.
It's an absolutely stunning record. You guys have done very, very well, so you should be very proud of this record that you've put out. I know that I don't kind of need to tell yourselves, but for anyone who's listening, the previous record, the debut, I'm going to hold it up. Hopefully the blur that does work. Did very, very well. Obviously, I think there was some AIR awards, some ARIA awards, international tours, absolutely smashed it. Going into recording these new songs, was there any thought or pressure from that previous record kind of like looming behind you guys?
Probably not really, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, for us, I feel like we really love playing music and making songs, and, it kind of feels like it's a bonus if people like it. You don't really care if people like it or not, to be honest. Like it's great when people dig it, and it's really awesome. But I guess there's sometimes a feeling you just want a story you want to share, and that's kind of all we really think about. And I don't know. I think this record's very present, so it talks about what's happening right now. So we're in a busy time of our life, so probably didn't have the sort of luxury to reflect too much on the first record. We were just kind of still riding the wave, I guess.
With that in mind, obviously these songs are, as you said, they're kind of based in the present and what's currently going on with yourselves. Was there ever a conversation before you guys went into the studio, or as you said, in the Airbnbs, in hotel rooms, sat down to write? Was there the discussion of an intention for this second record of what you wanted to cover, or was it just writing about what was happening naturally in your life, and that kind of through line appeared as you were making the songs?
It was kind of, the process for this record was there wasn't really one set rule, but a lot of the songs were sort of formed in my little bedroom down in northern New South Wales, and a little home studio where I'd kind of work on the bed or foundation of a song, so that if we did have a studio to go to when we're on the road, we had something to play with so we can be productive with that time. And so it kind of, the times I spent when we were not touring, I was just working on music, creating songs, writing lots of music. And I wrote so much music over the last few years, and it came to the point where you're just choosing the best parts of those songs, and you kind of, so they all pretty much were kind of written in my little studio, and then would take them to the studio and re-record things. But a lot of the parts stuck. I recorded a lot of stuff that ended up, we couldn't do a better job in the studio. So we obviously redid drums and a lot of vocals and stuff in a nicer studios, but it's the capturing those little moments. Like sometimes the little demos are the best parts, and we did that a lot with the first record, where we kept a lot of the demo guitar moments and vocal moments because they just they felt good, and so they're hard to replicate sometimes. So yeah, we kind of started out in that little bedroom thing, and then but yeah, that was kind of the common theme for the songs. But yeah, we don't have like a set rule on how to do it. It's pretty kind of organic.
Which I think is somewhat audible in these songs. There is a certain lightness to these songs that you can tell that, and I mean this as a compliment, that they haven't been over-laboured on in a way, in terms of that you haven't reworked them. As you said, like sometimes the demo parts or bits that you record on the fly actually have that little bit of electricity that seem to work best in the final product.
Yeah. Yeah, because we are a very playful band, and, you know, like I said, we do play around and probably waste a lot of time in the studios too, because we're just tweaking things and fucking around with different parts. But it's because we have a lot of fun with it, and we get a bit carried away sometimes. But it's we really didn't want to, we didn't want to put any boundaries in place for us, but we also didn't want to just go bonkers with it, you know, and it's really important that we, you know, we didn't want to sound overproduced and super polished. Like we are, you know, sonically this album is a level up from the first record, and there's no doubt about that. But I still feel like, yeah, we were mindful. We didn't want to sound too clean cut and polished because, yeah, we're playing in bigger rooms. So naturally you want to make your sound feel big, so to fill these big spaces. But so we did go down that avenue for a few moments in songs, but then we also love to just bring it back, you know, and simplify it. Like, I guess, yeah, just simple music. And yeah, maybe that's just part of getting older. We like to simplify things a bit. I don't know. Yeah.
I think that's totally fair, though. I think it's one of those things that you, as you grow as a band and as people, and as you said, like down that passage of time, it's a thing that you want it to not necessarily to be simpler, but especially in the music industry, and the fact that yourselves, you're not only recording, playing these songs, but you will be living with them for the next 2 to 3 years, possibly further than that, playing them every night on tour. So it's a thing that you want to have it not as simple as possible, but you want it to make it as efficient, I guess, as possible as well.
Yeah, fully. It's such a balancing act, you know, and simple living is what we're really, you know, we're big advocates for, and you know, we come from the bush and sort of, you know, living in, you know, small towns and stuff. You know, that sort of lifestyle comes with living in those areas, and a lot of people that live remotely can relate to that. But we're also singing about bigger things, you know, like we do feel like we love big themes, and we touch on some, you know, real human sort of feelings that I think would be felt by pretty much every human, you know, just feelings of, you know, being really content and where you are, and also feelings of missing home. These are stories that we're telling from our end, but they're also stories that I think a lot of people go through various times of their lives. So yeah, when you listen to the album, you can tell there's different stories that are probably applicable to different situations.
100%. Speaking of, I was kind of hoping to maybe be a little bit selfish and talk about my favourite track on the record. I really loved the track "Soon As," which I feel like is the perfect embodiment, almost of what you're saying, of a contentness of going home, heading home, and then being home, and having that feeling of just, you know, being happy in your own kind of space. I was wondering whether you might be able to talk to us about where "Soon As" came from, or what kind of inspired it.
Yeah. Look, you know, it'd be kind of natural to have a song on the album there that talked about returning home, because we were travelling a lot, and it's a huge journey for the Yolŋu boys to get back to Arnhem Land. You know, Australia is a very big country, and it's so rural and isolated there. It takes ages to get home. So you really feel the weight of that journey sometimes when you've been away from your family. And we wanted to write a song that was describing that feeling, you know, and soon as, you know, soon I'm going to do this, soon I'm going to do that, soon I'll be doing this. And it's all just, you're making that journey back home. And then there's that big kind of release where you get home and you finally, the vision for it was, you know, you get back home, you're out of that aircon that you've seemingly been in for hours and hours of an airplane or a hotel or whatever it is, and you get home and you got your feet in the sand, you got your feet in the dirt, you're finally on the ground, and that's that both feet on the ground line. It's like such a strong vision when we came up with that. And it was just like that. That's the message. It's just both feet on the ground. We're back. And that kind of, vision, just, it's a strong vision for us because we really love what we do. We also love coming back home, and it's important to recharge the batteries, so that we can give everything we can when we're on the road. And so coming back home is a really nice feeling. So we wanted to, paint that sort of picture of, missing flights where things are delayed or whatever, and then you're flying over, you're finally getting to your hometown. You can see the lights below you of this small little town, and that's the feeling when you go, I'm almost home. And it was just a, step by step process of getting home. Yeah.
I absolutely love the track. So thank you very much for sharing that. I do appreciate it.
Thanks.
I wanted to bring up, and please correct me if I do not pronounce this correctly, if I do butcher it a little bit. The songs do include a bit of the Yolŋu language across them, the traditional Yolŋu language. But I know, or I read that I think this time around tried to include more English in the choruses so that there was more of like a sing-along aspect to the songs.
Yeah, look, it's about a balance. And it's so cool. We love it when people sing in Yolŋu mata and learn a little bit of education on the way of how to sing Yolŋu mata, Gumatj language, which we really, there's a responsibility there for the boys to preserve culture and language. It's a really big part. If people can feel the vibe and want to sing, whether it's in Yolŋu mata or English, whatever you're feeling. We love seeing people have a go at trying to learn Yolŋu mata, and it's great having, two different languages. It's got a really cool, big concept that, again, it makes it kind of feel bigger than ourselves when we're singing these songs. It's something bigger than what we're actually doing. It's beyond an individual moment. So that, really does also drive us, I
absolutely love that. And I was curious about that. Do you find that at gigs and at live shows, you are seeing more and more people attempt to, I guess, to sing in both languages?
Yeah, 100%. It's great. You see people having a really good go at trying to sing in Yolŋu mata, and it's so awesome, and it's great, especially when you play hometown shows, because you've got the whole crowd singing every single word from start to finish in Yolŋu mata, which is pretty rare because it's only, not spoken by many people in the world. And so that was a really, amazing feeling when we played Gama the last few years and East Arnhem Live, these hometown gigs, and the kids are just going crazy up the front singing every word. And that is so cool. We love that. And also in the city, people learning some words. And it's awesome. It's language, it's music. Music brings people together. It's been doing that for a long time. So, yeah.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for kind of sharing that insight with us. Speaking of playing these shows live, I know that as the record is out now, you will be, when people are listening to this, in the US on tour with King Giz. So it's a meeting of the kings in a way. I guess how are you feeling about playing some of these songs live to US audiences?
Yeah. Look, we've been playing a few shows, and we've gone to the US a couple of times already over the last few years, and you wonder how people are going to resonate with this music, because it is, I guess, it's a very Australian thing and unique sound, I guess. So we don't know, but we're so stoked to be on the road with King Gizzard, who are one of our favourite bands of all time. Their whole approach and philosophy of music is just so inspiring and refreshing in this modern world. So amazing to be rubbing shoulders with them. And it's, kind of a pinch yourself moment for us, So we feel very grateful and excited to be on the road. It's great.
It looks like there's some absolutely incredible dates and venues that you're playing over there with them. So really excited to kind of see how those shows go. At some point, maybe catch up back with yourself and hear, I guess, the difference between the two kind of crowds. I know that there's a number of Australian dates in March of next year, where you're touring around Australia, some pretty decent venues. Very excited to kind of see how you go with this tour. Is there a track off the new album that you're looking forward to maybe debuting live or playing live for the Aussie crowds?
I think the song Nostalgic pops up a lot for a lot of people who've been listening to the record, and they're like, I really like that song. But yeah, I think we don't have any sort of preferences at this stage. Like, we like them all. We're keen to just see which ones feel really good live and see what ones people might like to hear. They're all, I feel like, bring a different thing. So, I mean, we've been playing a few of them already, and have a lot of fun doing that. So I'm excited to see what other freshies we can bring out. And it's exciting, you know. We love playing new music. It's a nice, you know, I guess when you're a muso playing something fresh and new really excites you. So yeah, we're pumped.
Look, I know that there's a lot of excitement around those shows. We've got our tickets for to see you here in Adelaide when you're coming around at Hindley Street Music Hall, I think. So yeah, super excited to see you.
Fantastic. We love it. We love Adelaide. Every time we come there, we have such a good time, and they turn it on for us every time. So can't wait for that one.
Look, I'm very glad to hear that. I would be disappointed if it was any different.
Awesome.
Roy, we usually chat to our guests or wrap up with our guests what they're currently listening to. For you, is there anything that's on high rotation at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, this week I've been travelling, so I've been listening to a lot of reading Anthony Kiedis' book from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Scar Tissue. So I've been listening to a lot of Chili Peppers, just kind of every day, just chilies are on. And so I'm back on the chilies train at the moment, and it's good to be back. Yeah.
Have you found that any of the songs have changed context now that you've kind of read possible stories about them and know more about behind of what was going on?
Yeah, 100%. You get such an awesome insight, you know, and you can really, I feel like I'm seeing the songs in a slightly different way. You know, I grew up loving them, obviously, like a lot of people do. And they're an amazing band and so inspired by just the guitar lines and the vocal hooks and the grooves. It's got so many awesome moments, you know. And me, Cam and Louis often jam Chili's songs at soundcheck and, you know, pretend we're a three-piece just like them sometimes, just rhythm machine. We're, inspired by those guys. So it's pretty cool. Big love to them.
Absolutely love that answer. Roy, thank you very much for coming to chat to us on the podcast. Congratulations on the brand new King Sting record, which is out right now when people are listening. We'll make sure it's in the show notes of the podcast for people to purchase and see you on tour. But yeah, thank you so much again for coming on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. Cheers.